And my screen is showing, right, guys?
Yep.
All right. So this is a final version of our app, and we created a flashcards app. And originally, this is one of the wireframes we created. Originally, we were going to just do an application where the user could add questions and answers, and then they would get a flashcard that would ask them the question, and they would give the answer, and then it would tell them if they were wrong or right. That's not what we ended up doing. We ended up just making an application that already had the 50 states as the flashcards, and we hard-coded the answers into it because that seemed to be the most logical way to create our app at the time. And it ended up being a good thing because it was pretty challenging to create the 50 flashcards and make them dynamically change on their own. So that was the beginning of our app.
Yeah, and sort of the reason the scope changed over the course of the semester, I would say, was because when I first started the semester, for me personally at least, when I first started the semester, I read that we'd be using local storage. And so I assumed we could do something similar to databasing with that. And so when we thought of this idea, I think for me at least, I just thought, yeah, we can do something like that. But then as I got a deeper understanding of local storage and how the code works, I soon realized that the original idea was not within the scope of this class in local storage, and that for something like that, you need a real database.
All right, and to go with that, some of the issues that we ran into for the development, that after we changed our scope to fit more with what we were able to do in the class, is our familiarity with the coding. For a lot of us, we're learning new languages or learning how to combine a language that we're not familiar with. An example of that would be to create the flashcard so that it would flip. In our app right now, we don't have a flip because we weren't able to crap, I can't think of the word. We weren't able to fix or cover the breach in our understanding there. In the beginning, we had some communication issues, but as we got into it, we were able to bring everything together and find ourselves on the same page and with the same understanding. And by the end there, we were able to get the ball rolling as far as producing and creating a completed app. And then another thing that kind of led to a few development issues was we're all using different platforms and we're all used to different programs. So to combine it all together and stick with one at first kind of made it a little difficult, but we were able to overcome those difficulties.
All right, and through all of that, through coming together as a team and becoming united in a single idea, and being able to focus on something that we can realistically produce, we came up with a state capital flashcards app. I'm going to show it to you now. So we get started by clicking on the center div right here. And on the left, we have a your score displayed out of 50. And the center is the question, what is the capital of Alabama? And at the bottom is the button to get the answer. And from clicking that, we retrieve the fun fact and the capital. And I'm going to skip to the end here. I do encourage you to go back because there's plenty of fun facts about America that I had no idea existed. America is definitely has a rich history. All right, as we reach the end here, your final score probably won't be 50 out of 50 the first time, but it's nice to think you're going to get that. So right now it's 50 out of 50 in local storage, and once you press try again, the local storage will reset, and your last score is displayed here. See, it's now 0 out of 50. And that is the collaboration of four teammates who really came together this semester. I'm really proud of this app.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great app and a great process working together. I'm going to go ahead and show, let me grab my screen here, get eyes on my screen, and I'm going to show some of how I've contributed. So the things that I've done is I did the first half of the state functions and the capital functions. And so basically how it works is each state and each capital has its own function. And so within the state function, it grabs a text file and it uses XML HTTP request. And this is kind of how we got our single page app design, so everything can be on a single page. It grabs a text file, and the text file, pretty much all it says is the name of the state or the name of the capital. And so you can see here in the Alabama function, it gets the Alabama.txt file, and that's on line 22. And then it changes some divs that we have. And so, for example, there's a start button. If the Alabama function will clear the start button, and it will put what is the capital of, and then it creates the button that flips the card, and that button will take you to the next function. And then within the capital function, what the capital function does, same deal, it grabs a text file, so it all runs on a single page and it doesn't have to load a new page over and over again. And same deal again, it changes the divs and creates a button for the next state. And also, what some of these things do is they call these buttons that I make call either the correct or the incorrect function. And I made those ones too. And those were some of how we used local storage. So like the correct function, it basically has a local storage variable called localstorage.score, and if you mark it correct, the button calls that function and adds 1. If you mark it incorrect, it doesn't add any 0, or it doesn't add any, it adds 0. And then the way we reset the score is we just assign the variable to 0 every time you start again by clicking the button to start. And so those are some of the things that I did to help with this app.
All right, so it's my turn now. I'll share my screen again. So some of the things that I did to help with this app is I helped with creating this your last score function. I helped get it to show the last score after you've finished and to show that last score when you're restarting the game. And I also helped to, at the very end, when the score shows on the United States, I helped create that. And I also went through and I've created all these images for web-optimized images of the states. So those are some of the ways that I feel that I've contributed the most. So what you do, what I did end up doing with this score is I had to end up creating a couple classes that were dynamically called through JavaScript to display the score at the right time. So so what this function does up here, well, it's not actually a function, but I created a couple variables that would add certain classes to the JavaScript to override the previous CSS, and it would display the score at the right time. also in the end here, in the, oh, where is it? Yeah, in the finished function here, I created some more classes that would also help override the CSS. I feel like that's how I contributed in JavaScript. I also feel that I did a bit to help create this final view of our app here. I helped with aligning the CSS properly. That can be pretty challenging, and I feel like over the last few years I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about CSS, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with it now and learning how to position things. So I feel that's how I've contributed to our project.
All right. So looking over the final project, I mostly contributed with updating, helping in updating the JavaScript and making sure that it has the correct information in it, or it's showing up in the correct place. And then I helped with the CSS. I'm not sure how much of the CSS, but I helped a little bit with the CSS on there.
Okay, so as far as my contribution goes, with the final app, I did some final markup with the CSS to get the background image to repeat itself. Some extra styling on the buttons. Just the overall feel I added on what Michelle was talking about, and Cassandra. I feel I helped help polish it up. I would say that most of my contribution for this final app came within the CSS markup, and then within the JavaScript, changing the buttons from yes and the content of a check mark and the darn and the X. My other contribution, I would say, came from the early renditions of our app, which included the JavaScript and the perspective to include what we talked about before, the flip. So I'm just really happy that our app is really working and it looks as good as it does. I'm really, really happy.
Me too. Does anybody else have anything to add?
I think that's all of it. I think we're all pretty pleased with how it turned out.
All right, I am, and it's been a great semester. I'll be posting this in the class community. If anyone in the community has any questions, feel free to post in the comments, and we will do our best to look at that and answer. Thank you.